Well,
We'll see what-
I mean, that's why you have the minutes. We're already gonna do that, cause.
Yeah.
It really doesn't do
Yeah,
any
but
good.
normally we
Have
got
another
another
public hearing here because they just say. the
I
same
don't
thing.
think we need to, but,
Yeah.
but we usually have a little time to digest. What happens.
Did you get your question?
But.
I mean,
Really the same stuff.
I didn't watch it, and I read it. Yeah. Well, I mean,
It was confusing
Mhm.
at the end of the meeting, very. For so many things that brought it.
I think,
This motion, no. All
I
of
think reading it was possible. I didn't hear all the, they're all this stuff.
If they need help, like, do you interview somebody? And ask
Well,
questions?
to me, it did.
That may be somewhat.
I wasn't sure what they passed. Truth be told.
I don't think they do.
No, I don't think they did.
Well, it sounds like they approved both.
I.
I like how it's not approved, they recommend.
Yeah, they recommended it.
I got some over your girl, I was gonna say, like.
I lived down here. I used to have trouble.
Is there, is there any? This guy.
Yeah.
Let's see. It's pushing so fast.
I don't know that he's really pushing that fast. Just normal process. I mean, the only thing that's fast, it's fast is just this meeting the night after planning and zoning, but that's just a matter of.
Yeah. I talked to Spencer about it.
Well, he's trying to figure out when he wants to.
The council session.
I hopefully, I don't know how. He told me.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that we, certainly it's not something that we wanna do.
It doesn't bother me unless there's complications issues. And there is in circumstance. If it's controversial, we need. And not.
Well, he wants the experience, and so if he can get, you can.
The.
Tackle mental manager, he wants to get that you somewhere about it. He doesn't want to be a head guard throughout the year.
At least the idea, we thought that we thought through it,
At least that's the.
you know, as a council.
Well, that's kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, I looked through last night,
I know,
but.
I know.
We'll
see.
He's working on adult.
I don't know. I don't assume so.
I think so. I haven't heard that he's not, so assuming that he will be. Okay, let's see, what else did we have?
How's it going?
You look at this online.
I quite think to talk about executive sessions.
That's the part I think.
Yeah.
Awesome, appreciate it.
I knew you were coming. Every time I come here.
The trimesters.
We've already had it, right? We'll go ahead and so let's see how it got started. Of course, there's no names on these ones. No, it's live.
What was going on? It seemed like this was such a crazy busy week. I can't believe it.
It's not, it's not.
It's not
I'll be there.
It's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
We had like 30 kids from the Mayor's Youth Group show up that morning. It's awesome. And a lot of other volunteers.
Always part of this. I do.
Yeah.
Just worry, I know. I got the. I got the.
Let's see, whose turn is it for prayer and pledge? Where's my little list to just complain with this? Right, December 17th. Let's see. Councilmember Johnson, would you offer the opening prayer? Did you do that last time? Oh, because we switched it. Yeah, that's right, because somebody wasn't here. So let's change, let's go with, let's see, Mike, I think, oh, you weren't here, right? You were online. Okay, would you offer the opening prayer? Council President Walker. Well, yeah, this is your last meeting, and we'll have you say the prayer. So that means. Brian, will lead us in prayer. What? Yeah. Singing the band.
You were down by.
All right. We're
Alicia? I hope not, it's half the time I.
All right, we are ready to get started. So thank you all for being here. We appreciate your presence here tonight with us. And we will go ahead and convene the city council meeting of City of Rexburg, December 17th, 2025. And we will start out with a prayer, an opening prayer, along with the pledge allegiance to the flag. And I've asked Council President Walker, who is gracing us with his presence for the last time. And we'd like to recognize his many years of service to us tonight and appreciate so much all that he's done for us and for the city in general in his service as city councilman, as well as his service on the emergency services crew and taking care of people for so many years. So thank you very much for all of your service. I appreciate you. So I was trying to get you all emotional just before you say the prayer. So if you would go ahead and lead us in prayer, and then we'll ask Councilmember Johnson to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Father in heavens, we come before thee this day at the city council meeting. I give you thanks for all the blessings thou hast given us. Thanks for the opportunity of being here and being able to serve the citizens of this great community. We ask you to bless us this evening as we meet, that we'll, in our discussions, we'll be able to have civility and be able to respect and honor each other's opinion. We ask you that thy spirit and will guide and direct our decisions that we make, and we'll be able to do what's best for the city and for its citizens. We thank for the Son Jesus Christ and for his atoning sacrifice and for his birth, celebrate his birth at this time, and ask us that we'll bless us that we'll always be able to remember the reason for the season. We ask you to be with us. We love thee and thy Son, who do this name of the beloved Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you all very much. We'd also like to recognize Councilman-elect Alicia Tejan in the crowd, in the audience. I shouldn't say the crowd, in the audience here with us tonight. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. And glad to have all of you here with us tonight. Let's go ahead and get on with the roll call of the city council members. Mariana, please.
Councilmember Colin Erickson.
Here.
Member Eric Erickson.
Here.
Councilmember Meester.
Here.
Councilmember Riggins.
Here.
Council President Walker.
Here.
All right. Thank you very much. Everyone's accounted for. All right. Let's go ahead. Item number 3 is to welcome a new employee at the golf course, Anthony Magner. Is that you, Anthony? Okay, I thought so. Yeah, Anthony, I hope they gave you a warning. Would you be willing to come up to the podium and just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and whatever you'd like us to know?
Yeah, so Anthony, I've been working at the golf course for the last 5 years as a seasonal employee. I originally came out here for school and started with a job there and kind of fell in love with it, changed my degree, career goals, everything, and just excited to keep improving the course and making it one of the best in the area.
Well, good. We appreciate your work. The golf course has been looking better and better every year. Maybe for the last 5 years, ever since you showed up, apparently, right?
There's definitely been some practice changes implemented by the superintendent, Seth. So
Yeah, that's
they're
great.
doing really good.
Great. Well, thank you. We appreciate it. Let's give him a hand. Well, Anthony, welcome to our Rexburg team. We appreciate all of the work that you do out there. All right, we do have at this time a public hearing on the utility rate changes based on the utility rate study by a consulting company called FCS. They are a member of the Bowman Group, and we'll go ahead and have Matt, our CFO, explain this to us or give us some background on it, and then we will go ahead and take action on it one way or the other. This will be designated as resolution number 2025-13 if the motion passes. So Matt, go ahead if you would, please.
All right, thank you. Good evening. So on this one, as you'll recall on when we did our last rate changes, typically we do it in July of each year. And and we do it for the beginning of the fiscal year, which is October 1. Well, last year we did not change the water and sewer rates because we were anticipating this study coming back. And this study is not complete. This is kind of, I'd say maybe 60% complete. But we had enough complete that we knew that if we didn't change the rates mid-year, that we would just have to change them a lot more next fiscal year, so next October. And so the recommendation is that we change water and sewer rates on this. And as you look at that, you'll see there's no sanitation. You'll recall in October, we increased the sanitation and we got rid of lighting fees. And so those were actually removed from what the users pay. And so on this one, it's just water and wastewater. And then it also affects the rate for Sugar City and Teton because we treat their wastewater. And so bottom line is the increase is for water about 8%. And then they're anticipating that we'll need to increase it at least 6% next October. But for tonight, we're just talking about the 8% effective January 1st. And then the same thing for sewer, it is also 8%. And then next October, they're anticipating 8% again. And so if you guys were to adopt these changes, it takes effect as of 1/1. The ratepayer actually doesn't see the change until their February bill. And so they receive that probably the 7th through 10th, somewhere in there of February. And then the other thing I will send you, I didn't quite have enough time to complete it, but I'll send you just a little one. It has a comparison of like an apartment, a commercial user, and a residential user that just kind of gives you the general, how much does this change in total? And I'll send you that tonight here shortly. Just email it over. So that is what's being proposed for those water and sewer changes.
Okay, is there any questions from anyone about this particular item for Matt?
Matt, just a clarification up here on the water utility revenue requirement summary.
Mm-hmm.
It just mentions here that the current revenue levels are sufficient to meet cash operating expenses, managing to keep ahead of annual cost increases with the 2.15% annual growth rate so I'm just curious as to if revenues are going to increase are going to grow 2.51%, why do we need to increase rates by 8%?
Because we're just talking we're only talking about operating expenses. And so when you're thinking about sewer, you've got to be thinking about operating expenses. You got to be thinking about capital expenses. So like depreciation to replace. And then you also have to be thinking about bond typically in a city as well. Fortunately for us, we just paid our sewer bond off in August of last year. And so that drops out of it. But as she did this forecast, it was a 5-year forecast. It takes into consideration your depreciation of all of your assets. It takes into consideration all of your capital improvements in those 5 years, which is like $60 million. And then what you do is we try to do a gradual rate increase. So rather than wait till we go build, $25 million of capital and then say, now we're going to increase it 30% to cover that, we're trying to soften it, if you will, so that it's a gradual rate change through those 5 years.
Yes, go ahead, Councilman.
Just on that same page, you have this $33.7 million capital project that's planned, right? So at the rates that is being proposed, are we pretty sure that this is going to be that what we're proposing, this 8% and 8%, 8%, 6, 4, and 4, that it's going to cover this, that we're not going to have to come back in. And this is, we're talking 5 years, 25 to 30, that we're not going to come back and nickel and dime them some more, right? In other words, is this pretty set? Can we bank on this?
So it's all based on estimates. And so as you go in and you build it, you're estimating inflation, you're estimating, how much wages go up. And every year those change. And so the model really can be changed from year to year. So there can be subtle adjustments, if you will. The other problem that you could have, right, is that when you go to bid these projects, they could cost substantially more than what you have in your capital improvement plan. And generally, I'll just tell you, in the 20 years I've been here, they're usually not less. I'll just tell you that right now.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there can still be some changes, but our effort is to make those subtle from what we're forecasting, right? And then the other thing is this model takes into consideration that we will take on additional debt in this model. And so as we go through those 5 years, you're going to be looking at us coming back as staff and saying that we do need to borrow money, both for water and sewer, to make those improvements happen. Now, the other thing that is good, sometimes we can make those capital improvement plans stretch, if you will. So we might have, all those improvements in 5 years, and maybe we can go 8 years, which helps us to extend how much we increase it over time. So I don't know if that answers it completely.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I just want to at least have some kind of comfort zone that we're saying, I guess my question on it when I'm looking at it and go 8%, 8%, and it's going to drop to 6 and it's going to drop to 4. Mm-hmm. And so as a water consumer, I'm looking at it and saying, well, that's positive. It is going to drop, but if it isn't going to be enough, from my perspective, it would be better to just say, it's going to be 6 all the way across or 8 all the way across, whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. So anyway, but thank you, I appreciate that.
And really, as you go through this rate setting process, we do it every year. So you can change the model every year, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So if we go out and we're like, okay, we missed that a little bit. And that could go both ways, right? Maybe we went a little too high. Maybe we don't have to go up as much next year. And so we just do the very best we can with the information that we have from year to year.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and unfortunately that, we have once in a while had rates that went down or we didn't raise them at all, which is always nice because we all pay them and we hate to raise them, but we got to keep up with the infrastructure too. So,
Mr. Mayor, I had one other question, just to clarify after what Bill just talked about. So this year's 8%. Mm-hmm. You said next year's 6%?
6% on water and 8% on sewer.
So is that added on to the 8% or does it go down to 6%?
No, it's added on.
That's why I understand.
But you always take whatever rate you have, you add 8%, whatever that new rate is.
So you continue to add on. So up from now till next year, we're looking at, 14%. And then you're looking at another like 18% from
That's
this
right.
year.
Yep.
So I just want to understand that.
Yeah.
I definitely want to continue to look at this. I mean, we have to keep up with inflation and everything, but keep in mind, and I think we
Well,
all
and the other
will,
thing we
keep in
gotta
mind-
help our citizen, we need to understand and help our citizens understand is if we don't keep up with it, then we get in a situation where we have to ask for a bond levy to be able to do a big sewer project or something, which we all know is not necessarily a popular thing to do, so.
Yeah,
And it's more painful.
and this model anticipates that, right?
Yeah.
But the difference is with water and wastewater, you actually, we do it through judicial confirmation. So a judge actually approves it
Yeah,
because it's ordinary and necessary. I mean, we have to,
but you're paying that through these charges. You're
That's
not,
right.
you're not paying
That
an
is.
extra property tax or whatever.
that's
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Did you have?
You're not doing
Oh.
it through property tax.
And like we talked about a couple weeks ago when we talked about this in council, those estimates are based partly in population. So if we don't grow like we have anticipated, we can adjust them so that.
Yeah, and we
Up
have,
and
I
down.
think our growth one's like 2.15% or something like that on our. And the reason why we include that, right, is the growth means you get more revenue. And so we try to, that helps to also lower that rate, if you will.
And that's why I just try and bring it up so that citizens understand, but we're trying to save as we grow and as things have to be replaced, and we're talking a lot of money in water and sewer. I mean, either way there's a lot of money going out. We just trying to be conscious of that and try to even it out and not all one time. So.
Yeah, and I'll just say this, water and sewer is just so difficult because it's so expensive to add capacity. Like you think of sanitation, it's like, we'll just add a truck and a driver, right? Not that expensive. That's probably $400,000 or $500,000 a year. But in sewer, it's like, hey, we need to increase our capacity 10%. It's not like you can just go out and say, well, oh, we can just put, $1 million in and do that, right? No, it's usually like $6 to $10 million to increase it. And it's usually more than 10%. And so my point is that it comes in big chunks, right? And so you really have to use the debt format in the equation or the mix. And it's really difficult, especially for a city that continues to grow, right? Because if we weren't growing at all, then it wouldn't be as big a deal, right? So, but we do try, keep in mind that we do try to keep, we have capacity fees for a reason. Lots of people confuse them with impact fees. They are different. Capacity fees are for water and sewer. And essentially, when somebody comes in and builds in our city and says, I'm going to hook onto your system, we take a snapshot of whatever the value of that system is, and whatever amount they need of capacity in that system, we're collecting that from them. And then that's going into a reserve. And then when that time comes to reconstruct, that money is there in theory. The only challenge is we can only collect it at the actual value of the system at that time. And if we co-construct it 5 years later, it's going to cost more just because of inflation. And so, but anyways, that's the process. And that's how we try to keep it fair to the ratepayers, right? So that they're not getting hit for capacity and maintenance.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to.
It's a public hearing.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Thank you. All right, we will declare this public hearing open. And if there are anyone who would like to testify in favor, we will ask you to come to the microphone, state your name and address, and then we'll move to those in a neutral position, after which we'll move on to those who might be negative to this proposal or against this proposal. So we will declare this public hearing open. And is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this proposal? Please come to the mic if you would, please. Is there anyone online? With their hand raised, I guess I should say. All right, while you're looking for that, I will ask if there's anyone in the neutral position that would like to testify on this proposal. Yes.
Hi, Eric Erickson. I reside at 120 South 3rd East. I think what I need to understand is that so we are, oh, okay. We are, this rate increase is not just for the city of Rexburg, it's because we also are helping the wastewater for Sugar City as well, right?
Right.
So anything that goes between Sugar City and Rexburg, something breaks down, that has to be fixed. The city of Rexburg is paying for that. Am I understanding that correctly?
The sugar does pay a share of it. Yeah, they pay their share. It's all kind of figured out in the
But
formula.
are they paying the extra 8 and then the extra 6?
Yeah. So, and we, in fact, I could have mentioned that. We met with Sugar City and Teton this morning, me and Keith. So yeah, so what happens is, think of it this way. What they're paying is, when it comes to the plant, there's a cost to treat it, right? They are paying that, and they're paying the increase for that. They're also paying any of their proportionate share for the line in the lift station that they utilize that comes through the city of Rexburg. And we happen to actually be rebuilding that line right now. It's a $9 million project. And both of them are having to participate at their proportionate share of what they use in that line. And they're also paying for any increased capacity, because we're making the line bigger, right? Because we're all growing. And so no, they're paying their equivalent share. And then when they have to add capacity, they actually have plenty of capacity right now. They probably have, Teton isn't really growing. And so, but Sugar City is. So Sugar City actually has a ton of capacity right now, but as they run out, if they come back to us and say, hey, we need more capacity in your plant, they're going to be treated just like anyone else that comes and says, we need capacity in your system, and they're going to have to buy that capacity.
So that's treated as 100% then. So they're paying 100% of that
Yeah.
capacity increase.
That's right. Yeah.
So right now, City of Rexburg is paying an extra 8 if it gets passed.
Yeah.
What is Sugar paying?
So they're going to go up 8% as well on the treatment share. And then they're going to have to look at all their other fees, because they have additional costs, right, to run the sewer in their own respective cities. And so that's up to them how they manage that. But the city of Rexburg manages all the rest of the capital that's outside of the shared line and lift station, if you will. So hopefully that makes sense. But I mean, to answer it, yeah, they're paying their proportionate share.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I think it's my concern that I have for the council and for mayor is that, I see many cities, especially like down in southern Arizona, where, you get the city of Maricopa that was paying upwards of 30% extra for just utilities in general because of the distance. I mean, it's like 30, 40 miles distance between Phoenix and Maricopa.
Yeah.
And-
And then keep in mind that the city, when I talk about that shared line, we're only talking to the point of Sugar City's boundary. Everything from there to Teton is up to them. We do
Okay.
not participate in that.
And
So that distance between Sugar and Rexburg then is there shared line then? What you're
Yes,
saying?
there is.
Okay.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's the line being replaced this summer,
Okay.
essentially.
And I will tell you that usually when we have that meeting with Sugar and Teton, it's not a real happy meeting. I mean, it's okay, but they're not real happy.
Well, I'm sure
'cause,
Mary Evans is not excited about it.
they think we charge too much, and we try to explain why we charge what we do, and it all comes out okay. We help them understand all of the extra charges and things, but or why it's going up. I shouldn't say the extra charges, just why the cost goes up, and but it's always hard for them because they're small cities and they don't want to raise the rates on the residents, and neither do we, but we all have to pay the piper, I guess you'd say. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. Good question. Thank you for asking. Is there anyone else that would like to testify in the neutral position on this issue, on this item? Okay, seeing none, is there anyone who'd like to testify against this particular item on the agenda? All right, seeing none, we will declare this public hearing closed. And then, so now at this time, I would entertain a motion to move forward on resolution 2025-13.
Mayor, I'll make that motion to approve the utility rate changes on resolution number 2025-13.
All right, thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Council President Walker. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. Okay, item number 5 on the agenda is that items that are not on the agenda. If there's anyone that would like to make us aware of anything, we would ask you to come to the podium, state your name and address, and limit your time to 3 minutes if possible. Is there anyone that would like to make us aware of anything that is not on the agenda tonight? All right, seeing none, we will go ahead and move on to item number 6, which is our committee assignments, committee reports. So let's see, let's go ahead and start down here on this end with Councilmember Bill. Go ahead and start.
Urban Renewal didn't meet this month, so we'll meet again in January.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Councilmember Reeser?
Nothing new to report. We didn't meet as the Legacy Flag Museum. We haven't met recently, so nothing new there.
Okay, all right, Councilmember Eric Erickson.
MEPI did not meet. We'll meet in January. If you haven't seen the new racquetball courts over at Smith Park, they're doing great and they're being used, until we get till the snow falls, they'll still be hitting the ball back and forth. So that's been a good thing.
Oh, good. Glad to see them being used. That was not much of a use going on there before, so that's good. Okay, thank you. Council President Walker.
Mayor's Youth Advisory Board helped with the Shop with the Cop on Saturday. I think there were like, 30 kids there.
Yeah, it was really good.
So it was good. And then they have their Christmas party tomorrow. And then they won't meet again until January. And the ADA Oversight Committee had not met.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and I will add to that report too a little bit that the Mayor's Youth kids, yeah, we had the biggest group there that we've ever had to help, along with a lot of other volunteers. Thank you, those of you who were able to come and help with that. It was a lot of fun, and we had a lot of volunteers from the community, a lot of them that come every year and help wrap presents and things like that. So anyway, that was very successful. So thank you for that. Councilmember Johnson.
Just a couple things for trails. We did meet this week to discuss the committee to choose the RFP for the design of a portion of the river trail and the bridge. So there'll be more information coming on that. And then we did have a meeting about the survey for the police station that we discussed in our last meeting. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure we'll be getting more information on that soon too.
Yeah, okay, thank you. All right, Councilmember Colin Erickson.
And just to add a little bit more about Shop at the Cop, I just want to thank everybody that could be there. I think it was a great time. McDonald's really appreciated us helping serve breakfast, and I appreciate it because it was really fast to clean up and everything. It was there. It's always a good time to see those kids and the officers being out there shopping. So thank you. On the school board, just want to report there's just a lot going on with the schools. I'd just encourage even the citizens and everybody out there to look at the calendars. There's a lot of plays going on, a lot of things going on out there in our school districts. Basketball's going on and other things, but plus just look at the calendars and kind of plan and try to attend their events. With the airport board, it did not meet. They're going to be meeting in January, they said. And on the golf board, just report back a little bit about the golf board with what we discussed just a little bit last time about the cart going around. After meeting with Spence and the county commissioner, Brent Mendenhall, was kind of discussed with find out new information just to leave it as is and not push the cart to go around. So that's on the golf board.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Mr. Mayor, I got one more thing.
Yes, go ahead.
Just wanted to let everybody know that our 8th grade girls basketball team
Oh, yeah.
won the district championship. First time in 28 years that the 8th graders won, the girls have won that championship. So just wanted to congratulate them.
Must be because of the genetics of one of the girls on the team, right? Yeah.
And
Probably not.
And if you want to date back on that, you can think of Rex Fomer. He was a coach back then.
Oh, is that
on
right?
that. We need
Rex
to-
Fulmer?
Rex Foamer was.
Oh, okay.
So,
Back then,
it's
yeah.
a long
Oh,
time
that's
ago.
Cool. Well, that's cool, and I will also chime in on that too. I went to, my granddaughter was in the 5th grade orchestra, and that was really fun to hear them, and then they go to the 6th grade, and it's always amazing how much difference there is between one year, how much improvement they make, and then you get up to the older ones, and they're just amazing, so that's really a fun time to go to the orchestra concerts and see how much improvement they do. We have a great school program, and they have a lot of really good things for our kids to be involved with, and so we're grateful for that. A lot of people think, in a lot of cities, the mayor and council are actually in charge of the school district too. I'm just really grateful that we're not, because we have enough stuff to worry about. I always feel sorry for those mayors who are in charge of schools and everything besides what they've got on their plates already. So I like the way we do it. Okay, let's move on then, was there anything else anybody had? No? Okay. All right, so let's move on to our item number 7 is our staff reports. We'll start out with our finance report with our CFO, Mr. Matt Nielsen.
Okay, so this is just the cash report here. The only thing that I'm going to mention here is you will see this continue probably one more month to drop just a little bit, because we're like 99% done with all of our entries closing out the fiscal year. And then we're going to have to go through a process and liquidate about 2 million of this and send it back to the fire district, which we already did a couple million in the summer so that they had cash flow to start their operations at the beginning of the fiscal year. But we just need to go kind of through a year-end process, if you will, and then this will drop a few more million. But the good news is in January, we'll get probably close to a $3 million check for our first round of property tax. And so we should see an increase and I've always kind of told you guys that's the trend is you see that you get through summer and that thing just drops, and then it hits January and then it starts to peak back up, and then you start those construction projects and drops again. So, okay, so let's go to the other report. And just as far as reinvestments, I'll just say that it's pretty status quo. I mean, we're having little changes here and there, but nothing too significant as we reinvest. Okay, so on the treasurer's report, we're not showing you the cash or the fund balance again on the far right, just because of needing to close those books and roll things over. And so this one's just purely budget. So we should be sitting at about 16.7%. So you can see the percents there. We highlighted in orange just so that you guys are aware. Those are the funds that we will be closing out and then zeroing out it. And then we'll have to zero them out every month because there are some things that the city will continue to pay, and then we'll have to get reimbursed from the fire district, and we may even collect a few dollars for them and have to give them to them. So, but we'll go through that process. And then probably the biggest one is if you go down to park construction, it says it's at 877%. That's because of those pickleball courts that Eric mentioned. We just didn't get it done right in the year that we had the budget. But what I did is when I closed out the fiscal year, I carried over the dollars to cover for that pickleball project. And then as we finalize that, we can bring back to you guys a budget adjustment that essentially takes it from carryover and puts it into the project. And we carried over about 265,000 in that park construction fund. And so next year, we really don't have any capital projects other than the pickleball at Smith Park, just kind of finishing that up. And Eric's right. Every time I drive by it, I see people on. I saw them on there 2 days ago. There was 4 of the courts were full. But as you look at those courts, they do have some flaws in the finish. Yeah. And we've talked to the contractor. We actually held back some of the money. And he's going to come back when it's warm enough. That was the issue that they had. to fix those, and then every court will get a whole nother coat of paint. And so it will only be better. How's that? And once it's done in the spring. And so that one I don't have any concerns about. And I really won't mention any others. We're sitting at about 5.3% spent of budget through the first 2 months. So.
And I will just add that, you know, even though the court has a few flaws, at least he showed up.
Yeah.
We waited for another company all summer long and they never did show up. Couldn't hardly even get him to call us back. And so, yeah, it was a little cold when they did it, so it wasn't perfect, but he's happy. He said he's willing to come back and, you know, put another coat on and make it look better. So I think it'll be good.
Yeah.
What's that?
Weren't we waiting last summer too for the guy?
They were supposed to come last June.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
right.
They-
They
It's been a
waited
long-
time for them, yeah.
Yep.
You know, they were recommended to us by the
May,
school.
May, June.
Yes,
that
they like
ballpark.
school more than they do us. I don't know.
Well, and I think as I talked to Hunter that did the courts in like really almost late October, right? Which is really late to do court.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, he said probably June, because he just wants to make sure he's not fighting the weather again.
Fighting it again, yeah.
So you probably won't see him till June, but they can be used. And then he just said, we'll just close off a few courts at a time and work on them and people can play around it. So.
Yeah, he's been good to work with, so that's nice.
And the mayor, the amazing thing about it, those courts are being used now. They
Yeah.
sat there for a lot of years, just
With hardly any use,
nothing
yeah.
on it hardly, other than a few kids running around with a basketball.
Yeah.
Now it's being used, so.
Once
that's
in a while,
cool.
people would try to play tennis, but you know, they'd hit the weeds that are coming up in the big cracks, and it wasn't a real good tennis game. So,
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, Matt?
Nope.
Any other questions for Matt? Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, we'll move to our Public Works report with our Public Works Director, Mr. Keith Davidson.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I just have 2 items today on the agenda. So the first item is we rebid the Teton River Park. We've got several bids on that project. And so, but first, we want to do amend the budget and do a budget adjustment on that. Yeah, so I'll have Matt come up and explain where he's moving the money from.
Yeah. So this is another one of those projects that I think it's been in the budget 3 years. And so what I did is I tried to show you where the budget adjustment is in the middle column there. And then I showed you the total project budget to the far right. So we knew that we were going to pay for some of this project this year, but we anticipated paying a portion of it last summer, but that never happened. And so if we were to accept the bid that Keith's going to show you, I think it's around $2,060,000, something like that. But what I'm proposing is that you pass a budget adjustment that would give us a total of 2.2 million. And as you look at that, you know, it would be, trying to remember. So most of the money where I'm getting this increase is from impact fees. We actually did collect quite a few impact fees last year above what we forecasted and budgeted. So I carried that forward and I'm bringing that in. And then I am suggesting that we go to urban renewal and increase that budget about 100,000. Because originally we thought this thing was going to cost us about 1.6 million, to give you an idea. So we're kind of asking everybody to put a little more skin into the game, if you will, to get it done. And but anyways, I feel pretty confident in these numbers that we'll be able to get to the 2.2, which should cover us for any type of change orders, which we always seem to have a few. So.
Yeah, okay. And is there any questions about that, or, you know, this project in general that we can answer for you? Yes, go ahead.
And so you're pretty confident urban renewal will be okay with that extra 100,000?
Yeah, I mean, even if they're not willing to do that, and I mentioned that, I think right at the end, maybe the second line, we can go into a negative fund balance if we had to, and then we would be able to immediately cover it in fiscal year 27, which is October of next year. But I feel pretty good about it. And then I guess I forgot to mention the grant. And then we pulled out the trees because we have a grant that can pay for that. It's about 112,000. So
And this is pretty pared back, right? Like we talked about. So there was a lot of effort in trying to bring the cost down.
yeah, the
Okay,
scope
yeah.
was reduced
Yeah.
substantially,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's about half of what the first bids came in at, unfortunately, so. Yeah. Yeah, there's been a lot of time and effort put into designing and, all of the work to get the bids out and the information out and stuff. So I guess, what we need to do, is we probably need to approve the bid and then would we approve the bid first, the budget adjustment, or does it matter? As long as they're both done?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
Can we do it all at once?
sir.
Can we do it all in one motion?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, all right. Well, let's give that a shot. Okay, then, looking at those bid numbers, I would entertain a motion to, let's see, the bid that we are accepting is with BFC. Oh, yeah, right, you get non-responsive because we did get a bid from Avell Valley, but then it turned out that
Had errors.
they
in
missed
it.
a lot of stuff, and so they retracted their bid, so, which was a bummer because it was lower, but we don't want to get somebody in there that's having to try to change orders to death too because they missed a bunch of stuff. So I would entertain a motion that we approve the bid from BFC Diversified and then approve this budget adjustment as stated by Matt. Is there such a motion?
I'll make that motion. We
Okay.
approve the bid for BFC Diversified and the budget adjustment as stated.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
And maybe we should state in the motion, award the bid for $2,065,040. Is that okay to include that in the motion? All right, thank you. And the second? Okay, so there's a motion and a second on the table. Is there any further discussion or questions on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. We will go ahead and get them going with finally. It'll be good.
Yes. So thank you. So the next item is, we had discussed in previous council meetings about hiring a consultant out at the airport to help us with the relocation of the airport. So we put that contract together. It's before you tonight. So if there's any questions on that, but what we'd like to do is just move forward with that contract. I will be taking it over to the county commissioners on Monday for their approval as well. So the contract is kind of what we discussed a little bit on that is they will be working, it's just a lump sum contract through the year to be working on the relocation efforts, getting ground, working with BLM, so we can get the airport relocated. Also maybe finding additional ground if the ground that we have located doesn't work out because of the grazing rights, as well as looking at the transition of the current airport to the new airport, with what do we do with that land, as well as working with the current hangar owners there.
Okay, questions about this?
Well, just a question, it states that the subcontractor will be paid by Madison County and the city of Rexburg, but it doesn't specify percentages.
So it's always been a 50-50 split between us
Okay.
on that. So
Does that have to be specified in the contract?
No, I don't believe it does because everything that goes through that fund, we split 50-50 after the federal government, of course, covers their share, which is a big share.
Yeah.
So,
but they wouldn't have any share on this
no.
contract. So I just
They wouldn't.
make that clear.
I just don't want the county
Yeah.
to all of a sudden back out and we're stuck for the,
Yeah, okay.
don't worry about our part.
You have another comment down
Spencer
here?
said
Yes.
there'll be another controlling document for that
Yeah.
arrangement.
Yes, Mayor, after being on the airport board for the last 4 years and just being there and going through this after meeting, after meeting, after meeting, I think this is a very good thing to finally get some groundwork and get somebody just full-time looking at this. The comment I'm going to have with Keith, and I've talked to him, and I just want it with all the council to understand, I've asked to have a report back to us, and I said once a year, but maybe every 6 months, just to see where it's going, see where money's being spent. And so it's reported back to us so we can make sure there's progress Because I say I've been in those meetings for 4 years and we're like when quicksand or mud, trying to move. And I think this would be good just to have that information come back to us and that we can hear that. So, and Keith agreed that'd be great to have. So,
Yeah, and we have in the contract about talking, we didn't specify time periods, but that would be part of the consultants.
Okay, yeah,
Could I
thank
ask
you.
one
Yes,
question?
go ahead.
Sorry, sometimes we get questions from residents, and so I hadn't heard about the grazing rights part. I'd heard about the grouse and everything, but so there's a possibility
Oh, yeah.
because of grazing rights.
So we have some property owners out there that have some land that are willing to sell that land, so we could trade what they want to maintain the grazing rights on that ground because they graze out there. And so that's one of the things we were trying to work through with BLM is to see, could we utilize that ground and have them maintain their grazing rights on there? And so we're running into a little bit of hurdle with that. BLM has a little bit of a pushback where they're saying, well, we have to do all these studies on the grazing rights. And so there's lots of different hoops. And so that's why that's one avenue. Second avenue is to try and find additional ground that doesn't have any encumbrances that we could purchase and then trade with BLM. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Any further questions?
Keith, that cost, it's set, right? There's
Yes.
no change orders,
No,
they know what they're looking at.
Yep, it's a fixed amount, but every year it's negotiable. So we would have a conversation. It would come before city council, county commissioners to say, here's where we feel that needs to be at this next year, right? Depending on what is going on and looking at those things. So.
Okay. Any further questions? All right, hearing none, then I would entertain a motion that we move forward on this airport consultant contract. Is there such a motion?
I move that we accept this subcontractor agreement for the airport.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I second.
Second by Councilmember
Reeser.
Reeser. Okay, thank you. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. We will go ahead and get this guy to work.
All right, thank you.
Hey Keith, how are the LIDs? Are they all done?
Are the LIDs all done?
I mean, where are we at?
I know the engineers were out doing measurements on it. So I don't know specifically if every aspect is done. I'd have to visit with them. I can let you know though. I can
All the
visit with
paving's
Brett.
done, all right?
What's that?
We're done paving.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, all the paving is complete. And I know they were out there measuring up the sidewalks and the curb and gutter. So I believe, I don't know if necessarily like the landscaping is put back.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
still a
there
bunch
might
of
be
that
some
to
little
do.
things that still need to happen on that,
Yeah.
but the bulk of it is complete.
Okay.
Some of it where the landscaping is torn up along First South, they'll probably just leave it that way because it'll be torn up with that new development going, all those houses will be coming out for the new apartment complexes to go in there anyway. So, if people are asking about that, that's probably just gonna stay that way until they do their thing. But in any of the other areas, they'll have to come back in and finish up the grass and different things.
Yep.
Where it was torn up, so. Okay, thank you.
right, thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Okay, item number 8 is the mayor's report. I will just talk quickly about, we had our Christmas tree lighting on December 1st, I believe it was, and we had a really great time. We had our Placer software program that estimates, well, it actually counts people as to where they move and where they go and things like that. It told us that we had about 4,000 people there, which I was really surprised that we had that many people come. But that was awesome. It was fun to have that many people there and have a good time, visit with Santa, and go to the ice rink and enjoy some time family skating and things at the ice rink. So that was a lot of fun. We've attended the fire department's Christmas party, which is always nice. They do a nice job of recounting the year and building some camaraderie and teamwork there. So that was nice. Same thing with our city Christmas party. Thank you all of you that made it to that. That was good to have everybody there and be together with as many of our employees that could make it. We talked about Shop with the Cop already, so I won't for that anymore. And there's just a lot of things going on, a lot of things to keep up with. And yeah, we have a great city and there's a lot of people doing a lot of great things. So that would be my report. Item number 9 is 9A is review and approve the updated employee policy manual. We'll have our HR director, Terry Hill, explain to us a little bit about that, and we'll consider that at this point in time.
I mean, I've read it.
All right. Thank you, Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So you should have all received this in advance and hopefully have been able to go through all the different changes. So I guess we'll just open it up if you have any particular areas that you would like to focus on.
Anyone? Any
I just-
particular areas?
Was those changes done that I called you about on those 4?
So yeah, let's go to the attachment that Mariana put in.
This isn't the best reading, I tell you. The 113 pages here, it's or 14.
Okay, yeah. So on this section, 304.3, we did, today I had Chief Rhodes come over and ask if we could add police lieutenants to be reviewed annually. Currently, they are on a every 2-year review. What this will do is help. What can happen sometimes is you get leaders in and some of your employees that are under the lieutenant in this case could actually be making more money. And so it will help to even some of that out, where you're going to have your top leaders then reviewed on the annual, where your others are reviewed every 2 years. So it will help with that issue that we have there. Then in addition, the golf professional, we also have him on that annual review. We've added him to that list.
Okay.
And then the one other area on the 1011, hang on a second, I gotta see 1103.3, the PIO. I just wanted to briefly discuss that again, just to make sure that we're not with the police department.
Yes, yep. In fact, it'd probably be good for Spencer to weigh in on this a little bit. Spencer, we were talking about, in particular, if an incident happens and the police department is needing to make some statements, will this particular policy that we have, will they be in violation under our current practice?
So Spencer, on this is a new policy we just put in there. We want everything to go through a PIO here at the city, but a lot of times the police department has their own kind of PIO. We put out things almost every day on the Facebook information going out there. I just want to make sure that our police departments maybe added into that or looked at that, so we're not violating our own policy with the police department, that they can do that.
Yeah, I don't think so. In fact, there was, if you look at like 1103.4, the critical incident scene. So in my review of that, I went through and omitted section B in its entirety because, again, I thought that it maybe took some discretion away. My thought, and again, my former life as a prosecutor, crime scenes you defer to law enforcement. And it's not a person of interest that's saying, oh, hey, the media can come and take pictures here. No, that scene is controlled. It's necessary to be controlled for integrity of what they're doing, integrity of evidence. So that's why I omitted that. So again, as the way I look at it, I think they're given deference to do so if we need to
And I
add one.
yeah.
So if we want to, however you feel comfortable with that, I don't think it'll be an issue. And again, I would say that the communication that I have with Chief Rhodes, where he speaks with me, and again, even Assistant Chief Hagan yesterday visited with me about something he was going to do. And so they're always collaborating with us on some of
And that's why I wanted to make sure that, because they do things almost every week or every other day, and that they just have that opportunity to do that without violating this policy, because I don't want to sit there and go down the road and have them violate the policy, because they do it and they need to do it. So,
No,
Yeah.
and again, I don't think that's, I
okay,
don't think.
as long as you're good with
issues
that, then I'm good with everything.
You know,
And
just-
again, I think if it becomes an issue, then we can address it where bring in Chief Rhodes, Assistant Chief Hagan, and decide if they feel like it's an issue and they want to add a subsection to clarify for the people.
You know, just because I'm just going to throw, this is not really anything to do with policy, but just because item number 2 there talks about the Emergency Operations Center, if activated, just want the council to know, because, you know, you probably don't know about this and most of the public doesn't, but I meet with, there's a committee that we meet every month. I think it's on the second Tuesday of the month or something like that. I can't remember which day, but it pops up on my calendar every month. But it's an early morning meeting over at the fire station, and we meet with BYU Idaho folks, and Todd Smith is there because he's our ham operator specialist guy, and we've got representatives from the different stakes around the area that have their calling is an emergency specialist. And so anyway, we have a meeting where we talk about emergency operations and what we would do in the case of, you know, different kind of emergencies and things that come up. And so if people are ever, if you're ever wondering, do we have emergency plans in place? We do. And the people are fairly well organized. We've got ham radio operators that are on call and ready to go on things like that. And so it's actually a pretty interesting committee to be on, to see all of the operations and the organization that we have. So anyway, sorry, that was kind of a sidelight, but that just reminded me of it.
Well, I think it's good to know, and with, you know, a lot that's going on in our world, we're going to see more and more policies that come that will help the city to be more structured in how we deal with things. So
Yeah,
that's great.
yeah. All right. Is there any other questions or comments about any of these items in here that anyone noticed or that you'd like to talk about? Is there any, Terry, in particular that you think we?
Well, I think it's
Really
important
be
that
doing
you
it.
do take a look at the mission statement, and, you know, just make sure that what you see that the employee committee, you know, put through, that you feel good about that, because
Yeah,
that's the mission of the city. One thing that they did add in, I thought that was very good, is that it does refer to America's Family Community in this new mission statement. So, you know, just making sure that you feel comfortable with that and are good with it.
Okay.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, go ahead.
The part where it says that employees may be eligible for certification raises at the discretion of the department head, and it took out "and the mayor." What was the reasoning behind that?
Which section are you in?
This was part of what was emailed out, the 304.4.
Okay, the 304. So what we did is, in a lot of areas, we went in and we took out the mayor of having to do, you know, so many different things, just as a protection. And that was by the recommendation of our legal counsel. So let's go to that section where.
And in some places we just inserted, I think if I remember right, we just inserted the city instead of the mayor, so that it was a little bit more generic on who, you know, I mean, we really want the employees that are in the departments, we want the department head to have discretion and kind of the autonomy to be able to
But do know that I think one thing to be comfortable with is that any any pay change goes through a series. So the electronic document gets put in by the department head, and then it goes to our CFO. He looks at it, then it goes to our mayor, and then it comes to HR. And that all has to be gone through that approval before it ever gets put in for the employee. So the mayor does still review every pay increase, whether it's a certification or a merit. It all goes through that process.
Yeah, and I think the reason we took that out right there was just because the employees may be eligible for certification raises at the discretion, because we want the department head to really be the one who determines, if the employees are doing a good enough job to merit the certification raises, and then of course that will come. If they recommend that, then that just through the process, Terry, things that comes to me anyway. So
Right. And then I think
feel like it's
another
necessary to have that in there.
another protection is all, and you'll see that in that appendix, it is the Appendix E, where any certification that is listed, so you'll see that there's a few of them that are added in. Those all come to you as a council to approve if those certifications are going to be allowed in our handbook. So you all have that opportunity too. So you'll see that under human resources, we have added in the past and let me kind of explain that. The PSHRA, that is a public sector specific. We have broadened that out to be more of the industry, which is the SHRM. And it's more of a nationally recognized, where the PASHRA is specific for public sector. So we've just broadened that to give, more diversity in when we are able to hire and in our certifications. And then we've added also in for the payroll clerk to have some certifications.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? If there are none, I would entertain a motion to move forward with this updated employee policy manual.
Mayor, I'll make that motion to approve the employee policy manual.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Council President Walker. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that. Okay, thank you. All right, item number B is a planning and zoning recommendation to approve a comprehensive plan map change from low residential to intermediate residential at approximately 301 South 12th West. This would be designated resolution number 2025-14 if the motion passes. So, Mr. Parkinson, we'll let you go ahead and explain.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, Council.
Get us started on this item.
The applicant approached us about requesting a zone change a few months back. We prepared for it and we're ready to take him through earlier this month, but we found out at that point the one zone he was requesting required a change in the comprehensive plan to be able to go to that density. So that's why we are looking at that at this point, is to just do that. If I can steal your mouse. This is the parcel right here. Many of you have seen this in the past. Our viewers being slow. This is the Birch property. The Gem Prep School is planning on going here. And so this property is located there. The request will be for this portion, about 6.5 acres, to be changed from the low residential to the intermediate residential. And that is the request that Planning and Zoning has forwarded to you. And at this point, I would just open it up for questions.
Okay, yeah, questions. I mean, I think hopefully we've all had a chance to read through the minutes from the planning and zoning meeting last night. They're fairly long, but a lot of similar things that have been talked about before on this property has come to us, what, 2 times previously? 4 times previously?
3 times previously.
3
this is the
times,
fourth.
yeah, this is the 4th time. Okay. So anyway, is there any questions or comments on this particular?
I've got a question. When I watched planning and zoning last night and I noticed, I don't see the layer that you had up there previously where it showed it was orange. Is that the right color? And then it stopped at that property,
Stop just to the south border of this.
just to the
property.
south of that property. Do
Correct.
we have any information on what discussion was made in the comprehensive plan at the time? Because it seems to me, if they're already running that density designation, I'm curious as to why they stopped there in the first place. Did that come up? Was there a special reason that they stopped it there? I'm curious to know why it stopped there in the first place.
At one point, we actually had the intermediate all the way up to Whittison, which is the development in there. But in the comprehensive plan meetings, the discussions led that way. There was a multitude of people. It just says, we don't think this fits at this point. So then we pulled it back to that point right there. So it has been designated that in the past, but it has been changed.
Okay, so was their thinking or their concern, the closer you get to Main Street, the less density that they wanted? Is that?
I think most of this was protecting the neighborhoods that exist there now. Whittison subdivision is a 1 acre lot area. Some of the others near it are 1 acre. But when we looked at the map at this point, you start looking at it. We have the school going in there. We have LDR2 in the back, so we're starting to increase densities. If you go to Summerfield, which is just across the road, we already have the LDR3 and we have the LDR2 in there, and they're doing the similar thing in that situation. Typically, you'll put your higher densities against something to buffer the others. Some of the reasons that we looked at it in the prior meetings was buffering the freeway from those single family, because you tend to struggle to sell land for single family homes right next to the freeway. It's a difficult.
Could you point out where the Whittison subdivision is so I can get a visual on that?
Right there. She's got her mouse on it right now.
Okay. Oh, okay. So it's just, because I drive that road 12th to school and back every day. And I was taking special care today to keep my eyes on out and what's going on. So I know exactly what you're talking about now.
And that's a subdevelopment that started, I believe, in the 70s. It was actually there before they put Highway 20 through.
Yeah.
And then that next piece of property between the subdivision and the proposed property, that's still owned by a single owner and they're farming it?
It's a trust.
It's a trust?
A family trust that owns that, and it is being farmed.
Okay.
The current land is just pasture. It's not being actively raising crops, but they have used it as a pasture.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think Councilmember Reeser's question is a good question. And so this comprehensive plan was updated just a couple years ago, and we really worked hard to get a lot of public input. And you know, one of the criticisms that I hear is that we don't listen to residents. And I feel like this gave us the opportunity to listen to the residents, and they said that they wanted that for reasons to stay low density. And so I guess I feel a little uncomfortable changing it after all the work that just went into that and all the public input that we received. And it does say in the comprehensive plan that intermediate residential is for places that are close to services. And so that area, I live there, 12th West has no sidewalk, hardly at all. There's even an area just south of the church that's on the west side that doesn't even have a shoulder. And so children are walking on that and it's not safe. And so I don't think that fits the intermediate residential.
So just for clarity for the record, you stated listening to the constituents and an opportunity to listen to them. I think just for clarity, are you referencing statements made last night or on this project, or statements made in the planning portion of the new comprehensive plan?
I'm talking about when we planned the comprehensive plan.
Previously,
Thank you.
Yep. Yep. So to me, it doesn't fit. Intermediate residential doesn't fit right there because of the statements I just made.
The glitch in this is having that LDR3, putting that into the intermediate class rather than having it in the low. That's probably the glitch in this system. If it had been into the low residential, then the comp plan change wouldn't even have come up in this. Because if you look over in Summerfield, we have the LDR3. It is in low residential because it was grandfathered in.
Yeah.
So that's where you got to look at this and go, does this fit?
Yeah,
Is
but
this
it,
where we
but it
need to
is
go?
now intermediate
Correct.
residential. And so that includes MDR1 and MDR2.
Correct.
And so that's something to consider.
Mhm.
Alan, one of the arguments was that there's LDR3 across 12th West in the Summerfield subdivision.
Mhm.
To me, that may be zoned LDR3, but I don't think it's built out as LDR3, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are they small enough
You
lots
have to
that they
look
would
at
be?
this, it's a PUD. So they've gone in and done a planned unit development, which allows them to shuffle where they need to, but the overall densities have to stay the same. So
Right.
you see the townhomes further in,
Mhm.
that's where they can shift that further in there and put the single family. So
Yeah.
the designations are there, they're just not exactly in the places where that zone is, and the PUD allows you to do that.
I understand the PUD, but this is a section right there just off 12th West
Mhm.
behind the church.
Correct.
To me, that does not look like it is built out as LDR3.
Go to the west
I mean,
of the
the-
townhomes. See the townhomes on the west side?
Well, no, but I understand the PUD, that's a separate one.
Right,
This is a block of LDR3
right.
that's right in the middle of the LDR2, right up against Pioneer Road.
Correct.
That is not built out as LDR3. It's
Correct.
built out as at least probably LDR2.
It
They're
is LDR2.
unattached is what you're saying, right?
Right.
It's unattached home.
Yeah,
But you
so
have to-
so that argument, to me, that argument does not.
Well,
hold water.
it does if you look at how a PUD works.
No, but that's not part of the PUD.
Yes, it is.
Well, did you zone the LDR3 separate from the PUD?
No, it was all done at the same time. They did the zoning, then followed up with the PUD, which allowed them to take that number and shift those wherever they needed to make it work, to create open space area like their clubhouse and those areas. You can do so many things within a PUD that you can't with just standard zoning. And moving it around is one of those things you're allowed. As long as your overall densities, you're only allowed so much in that LDR3. That's all you can move wherever you want to. And then the rest has to meet that LDR2 standard. And if they change anything, they come back in front of you guys and say, here's the modification we want to make. So this was all done at the same time.
Can I say one more thing?
Mhm.
Because last night in the meeting, it did come up, the townhouses in Summerfield. I did just want to point out, since I live there, there are 2 sections of townhomes
Correct.
in Summerfield, and the rest is all unattached. And so when whoever it was that said that you can't stop from selling them, those townhouses were all built a couple years ago. And so what is being sold now is unattached housing. It's not townhouses. And I think that is something important to point out, because it's not the townhouses that are selling like pancakes. There aren't even any more townhouses, and there's not any more space to build townhouses. There's 2 sections of townhouses, and they're all built and they've all been sold. And so right now it is unattached.
It
So,
is
yeah,
unattached.
so I
but they
just think that's important to point out. It's
no, but
unattached.
you have to realize they sold those townhomes out. Most of them were sold before they were completed.
Yeah, I just
So
wanted,
demand was
I wanted to
there,
make
and
it clear to
understand.
residents, it is not townhouses that are selling like pancakes in Summerfield right now. It's unattached
Because
housing.
they're not available.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
But last night it sounded like it was townhouses, so I'm clarifying that.
Yeah.
Mayor,
Yeah, go ahead. Councilor
Mayor,
Maddox.
after setting on the comprehensive plan changes and going through that for the last several years and really trying to, I mean, Alan done a fantastic job. Our city employees of trying to come up and build that. I mean, you talk to other cities, they struggle trying to come up with a comprehensive plan. We spent a lot of time on this comprehensive plan and trying to design our city for the future growth and understand the growth and where we're going, and also keep our family community. In the comprehensive plan, we must consider existing conditions and trends. We've moved on this property 3 different times on change that we moved it clear up to LDR2 the last time and felt like that was comfortable to do it. Most people agreed to that because of the R1, R2, we took out that. Some of those lots in Whittiston Lane is an acre to 2 acres.
There are one, so it's 1 acre.
I mean, there's almost 2 acres in there.
There are.
As you look at that and understand it's crossing a freeway. I am not comfortable changing the comprehensive plan after the years and time we spent on this and working with the citizens and working with this community on looking at this, even at 6 acres. I mean, you can move against that freeway, and we say people don't want to build it next to the freeway. I built next to the freeway. I'm right there. So the other ones have done the same thing. LDR2 looks at 36 36 buildings per acre. That's
6 acre, 6 units per acre.
What's that?
6 units per acre.
6 units per acre
It'd be
on
total of
LDR2.
LDR2.
And I'm comfortable leaving it the same and not changing the comprehensive plan. I think we need to really look at that. We need to be very careful on changing those comprehensive plans because we spent so much time developing it. And unless we see the data and the work that comes, the data and the information that comes in on that and what drives that, I think we ought to leave the comprehensive plan the same and continue to move forward with that. We have plenty of areas in the city that have LDR3 and the higher density right now. So that's my opinion as we look and move this in the future.
Yeah. Oops, go ahead.
Well, I guess I would maybe like a clarification on that on amount of area that we have for LDR1 versus LDR3. It seems like we've got a lot of LDR1 in our LDR1 and 2 in our city limits and in the impact zone. And didn't you say we've got like how many thousand acres or something like that?
Thousands.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just kind of trying to take this all in, but I hear what you're saying. I know we did a lot of work to do the comprehensive plan, but on the other hand, the comprehensive plan is a living document. It's not something that you just plop down and it's that way forever. And we have to kind of evaluate our needs. And, Mr. Newkirk, I think, made a good point. He said, that, we need more diverse housing options. We've got a lot of, and I think there were a couple of comments in here later by some of our commissioners that said, they've had kids that can't live here because they can't find a place they can afford. And I think we do need some diverse housing options and kind of that, what they call that missing middle. I don't know if you've read some of the books and things, but that missing middle is sort of what we're missing. And I agree with you, Councilmember Johnson. I know the homes that, the single homes are selling well, but I think townhomes would sell equally well. And I guess I look at some of the comments that, some of the reasons for not doing this, and it seems like it boils down to a couple major things and quality of life. And I guess we have to define what quality of life it is, but traffic really always kind of rises to the top as the biggest thing. But we have to remember what type of housing drives the most traffic. Single family housing drives the most traffic. So if we're worried about traffic and you fill that all up with single family housing,
Can you clarify?
Please clarify that.
Yes, okay, I will. I'll be happy to clarify
Yeah,
that.
I'd be really happy to hear that.
Because, okay, think about it. I mean, let's just think about it. Single family home, you've got a mom and a dad, bunch of, kids. So the kids, they take the kids to school, come back. Kids come home from school, you take them to dance, come back. You take them to soccer, you come back. I mean, you're in and out of there 5 or 6, 7 times a day, right? Which is normal. I mean, we did that. But when you get into townhomes and things like that, typically they're occupied by, like the townhomes that were in my neighborhood, were occupied by, some of them were older folks, they're like me, go to work, you go home, you kind of stay home, or unless you go to a ball game or something, but you're not in and out and in and out and in and out. And then the other thing that you have with single family homes is what? Teenagers, right? And then you've got another car and then maybe another car. I mean, my kids right now have 4 cars, you know, and the teenagers are in and out and in and out and in and out. There's more traffic. And I think you all know that, well, maybe you don't all know this, but those of you who've been here for a while, I went over when they had when we were talking about doing the apartments on Main Street, I went and did my own informal traffic study. I had the Henderson subdivision on this side, and I had that big apartment complex on Fifth West, big apartment complex, 3 stories, you know, several, like 150 units or something. You know, I'm thinking, yeah, there's probably going to be a lot of traffic in and out of there. So, you know what the result was? Coming out of the Henderson subdivision, 6 times as much traffic came out of that in that hour that I sat there in the morning. 6 times, when I tallied it all up, 6 times as much traffic coming out of the Henderson subdivision as there was that came out of that big apartment complex. So I think sometimes we freak out a little bit when we hear townhomes or multifamily developments because we think, oh, there's going to be so much more traffic. But the reality is it doesn't cause, I mean, you know, maybe there's 40 more units, but there's a lot less trips in and out from those units than there is from a single family home. So I think we have, and then the other thing is, you know, quality of life. I'm like, okay, how do we define that? I mean, traffic definitely is one. People, I mean, you know, in my neighborhood, the townhomes that are over there, some of the best people in our neighborhood. You know, we have people that I'm still friends with that were in those townhomes. And so, not in my own, but in the neighborhood where I lived before. In fact, I probably shouldn't say this, but the reason I moved out of that neighborhood was because of the single family homes.
Anecdotal. This
You
is
know,
anecdotal.
it's not anecdotal, it's exactly my experience.
I know that's what anecdotal means, is your experience. And so when you say you had when you say you have an informal traffic study, we could all do our informal traffic
I
studies.
encourage you to do that.
Okay, but I thought we were trying to rely on the traffic studies that were done by the city. And so when that Gem Prep school came in, we actually had a traffic study that told us that some of those intersections were going to fail almost. They were going to be at a D and an E if we didn't take action. And I have not heard what action we are taking as we add more there. And I live there, and I've actually had times I was late to my job because the high school got out and it was gridlocked because there are 2 ways out on that road.
Mm-hmm.
That is the only way into the main part of the city. We did not get the grant to keep talking about the overpasses to connect to the east side of the city. I don't know if everyone knew that. You heard that last night, but we didn't get that grant. So we have one way to get to the main part of the city where everyone is going. And if we live there, we have to consider quality of life. I haven't heard a timeline for when we're fixing all these things. So I'd really like to hear that, especially since the actual traffic study that the city did said that some of those intersections were going to be at a D and an E out of F. That's what I'd like to hear.
That's, yeah. And to be honest with you, they pretty much have to be at a D or an E or even an F before we are considered for ITD and LTAC to get grants. Because if they're at a B or even a C, guess what? Those grants are going elsewhere. And I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news on that, but until you've got, and I know it's painful, but until you've got those kind of situations, we don't even get on their list, you know? But we do have, you know, Keith, maybe you could update us on this, on the discussion with ITD on that intersection, because that's a big part of this. It really is, that intersection. And the sooner we can move on that, the sooner we can help with some of that gridlock that will move off of there. The overpasses, unfortunately, are not going to come soon, but they are on our plan. And, you know, the more we can push it and the more we can show that we've got, you know, we're showing in our traffic study that we're going to drop to a D or an E level, the higher we will rise on those grant applications to put in for those. I mean, it stinks that that's the way it is. We'd like to say, well, we'd like to get it done before we need it. But unfortunately, when the money is limited, if you don't need it, that money's going somewhere else. It's going elsewhere. Yeah.
And Mayor, just to bring this back a little bit, because I think going through this last night, there's a lot of things debated and talked about and looked at that probably shouldn't even been talked about. I mean, when you look at it, they brought up Daybreak and how great Daybreak is, and they brought up about these families, you know, how great the families is. We're not really talking about that. We're talking about changing a comprehensive plan, and does it meet the definition in our comprehensive plan to change up to LDR 3? And I do not feel like it meets that. It does not meet that thing. You read right in the comprehensive plan, it needs to be to move up to that level. We need to look at models that will allow people to safely travel and reach their destination with bikes, wheelchairs, and on feet out there by the freeway, out there clear across the freeway. It doesn't meet that. It doesn't meet the plan of the future growth out there. So I guess that's what we're talking about. And like I say, I go back on it in a form. I do not feel like we should change our comprehensive plan right now in that area.
I guess
We
one
can-
question I would throw out there though on that, and that's a good point, it really is. But if we keep denying the developers who are the ones who will help us get that done, how are we ever gonna get that done?
Well, I
You know,
believe
this has come up for development, 3 times previously, and the developers with only single family housing, they haven't been able to make it work because by the time they pay for the streets and the curb and gutter and the sewer and water, they can't make it work. That's why it keeps getting sold and it keeps coming back to it.
well, and I
May I,
Before we get too
may I
much
say
further,
some?
Can I say
Can
something?
I just quickly just,
Time out.
let's clarify for the record quickly, just so there's a couple things. And again, I'm more about keeping a clear record here. Your most recent comment, Councilman Colin Erickson, as to comments on last night's meeting that you thought were maybe inappropriate. We get in the zone sometimes, or zone, for lack of a better term, of with zone changes, a more narrow scope or a more narrow view. In comp plan changes or comprehensive plan, one thing to analyze and look at is if something is consistent or inconsistent with plan goals, objectives, and desired future conditions. When you're creating that comprehensive plan, there's 17 different factors that are looked at that are very wide in scope and wide ranging. And so oftentimes when people talk about conditions or give ideas of something that they think an idea is good in a comprehensive plan or something that reflects that, I give them a little bit more leeway in terms of conversations regarding comprehensive plans, because it's not narrow in scope. It's a wide ranging discussion. So again, I initially had that same comment. I typically rein those things in. I didn't think it was inappropriate for last night's meeting. One more clarifying question for you. You mentioned, and again, I don't think it's flushed out well, and I think it's important, just in fairness to both citizens and then also to the applicant. You mentioned a number of times, I wrote it down somewhere. Okay, the time put in a comprehensive plan. When you say time put into the comprehensive plan, are you talking about just resources putting in time into it, or the actual goals that came, or from plan goals, objectives, or future conditions that were included within that? Because again, it was a long-ranging thing. Is it just a resource-based thing, or is it what came out of that discussion?
To me, it's the goals, the trends, and the desire of the future situation out in whatever it might be. It might be over here, whatever it might be in the whole city. It's looking at that as a full thing, and the trends and the goals and desire and the existing conditions that's out there. So that's what I'm looking at.
And the reason I asked that is because, again, just without that clarification, it may just seem that, hey, we put a lot of time into this, and because we've sunk resources into it, we're not going to change it.
That's not it.
Okay, so I'm glad I clarified. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Councilmember Eric Erickson had his hand up, and then.
Go ahead. I think you were first.
You want to go? Okay, sorry.
I see 3 major issues. Issue number 1 is I went through the minutes of last night's minutes. There are so many questions that the commissioners themselves make, right? They emphasize changing the comprehensive plan should meet a high standard. Administrator Parkinson, commissioners continue to weigh the balance between maintaining the integrity of the comprehensive plans, addressing housing needs and so on. We go through and it just, They reiterated the need to focus on the comprehensive plan and noted that any zoning changes approved would still require additional review and compliance with city standards. Then I go to the city standards and I think we're not meeting them, right? The current comprehensive plan designated of low residential allows for transition and blah, 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 right? It tells us what it is. And then I go to consideration for approval. And number 2 is the requests conformance with the city's comprehensive plan. Well, it's not. It doesn't. So we're not meeting it. Number 3, the capacity of existing public streets. We're not meeting it. Number 5, right? Recent changes. So we're not meeting our own standards. And then number 3, the third side, we're not listening to each other. We're not listening to the people who are there, they're going to be affected. So I have 2 comments. Number 1, coming from an email that was sent to Alan Parkinson, which this is from Oneless, and he says, it is probably time to assess the options for development of these agricultural fields on the east side of South 12th West Street. So he's acknowledging that, right? A coordinated plan that respects the rural residential character of our neighborhood and improve the traffic options would be prudent. And then he says, granting the developer of the Birch property, et cetera. But again, here's a man who's saying, you know what, maybe it is time to take a look at it. Mr. Diaz, I would go right off of Mr. Diaz. He says, he emphasized that his goal is to solve problems, not create them, and assured the commission that any necessary road improvements that will be funded by the developer. As Mr. Diaz noted, as his long-term plan includes single-family lots on additional properties, he's purchasing, further supporting a balanced approach. I don't know that those folks know. I don't, from my perspective, if I live there, show me a picture. Show me how they're going to go down. And then his last comment, which I think is where we need to go, right? Mr. Diaz concluded by expressing his willingness to work collaboratively with the community and the commission to address concerns. He stated that he values dialogue and hopes to find solutions that benefit both the city and its residents. I think we've got to get them together and allow them to solve the issues, to come up with a plan that everyone's happy with, and then let's bring it to the commissioner then. I mean, and that way the commission can make the proper changes. But I don't think, I know, I saw what I know what they voted. That's not the question. But there's a lot of questions in the minds of these commissioners. There's a lot of questions in their minds.
Quick clarification. And again, just to keep the record clear, I'm sorry.
You need to address, you need to address me. That's how we keep order. Okay.
I need to make legal clarifications based on
legal
this comment.
counsel. Go ahead.
Okay, so as to, and I think this is in fairness to the applicant, as to stating if we could see a picture. So in the land, specifically in a land use case, there are some certain in a PUD, but in a comprehensive plan and a zone change, the applicant is prohibited specifically from providing any specific pictures or plans to that. And the reason being is the designation could immediately be given to the land and it stays with the land. There could be a change of heart. The applicant sells it to somebody else. And so they have to, when commissioners are using that, I kind of reiterate it over and over. This is not based on a specific process. Okay, so just a clarification. And then again, you guys are going to get tired of me for these clarifications. The email you're referencing, I assume that's a part of the record. Okay, just making sure again that we're covering our bases there. Mayor, thank you.
Councilmember Erickson.
Thank you.
Comment.
There are a couple of issues. I mean, number one, this is not the last time we're going to get a comprehensive zone change before us.
Exactly.
In fact, I think there will be some
Coming up.
in the next month or two.
Yeah.
So to make the argument that we can't ever change the comprehensive zone plan is not, I don't think is a valid argument, because we need to be able to use that to develop areas that need development. So that's one comment. This particular piece of property, I have a couple of issues with. Number one, we have RR2 to the north, or to the
North.
Yeah.
north, RR2 to the south. what we do on this piece of property will determine how those other two will develop. I'm sure of it. So the question is, do we want that whole area to develop into townhomes? Or do we want it to develop into more single-family dwellings, more detached family dwellings? In my opinion, it was discussed a little bit last night, and it was too little too late about the idea of rezoning, just a rezone, to rezone the entire piece LDR2 instead of LDR1 or LDR1 and LDR2.
Yeah.
To me, I feel better about that right now. I think that sets a more of a baseline of what fits the area. It allows for duplexes or townhomes, duplexes and twin homes, but is by and large single family dwellings on smaller lots, not the huge lots. And to me that sort of fits the area. I have a little bit of concern about a continued development of the townhome thing through that entire corridor. I just think it just doesn't fit. We've got it on the other side of the freeway, but
Well, the other side is really more apartment
right,
complexes.
exactly.
There are townhomes.
And so
and
to me, the buffer that we're talking about is perfect at LDR2. It's a big jump from RR2 to LDR3. I mean, it's a big jump from LDR2 to LDR3. The density goes from
6 to 10.
like 68 possible units up to 110. I mean, it's almost double, not quite double in density going to LDR3.
You're only talking on 6.5 acres. So you'd go from 30.
Well, no, but if we changed it to LDR2 and LDR3, the density on the tire piece goes up by about 40 units.
40 units total.
Yeah, 40 some units.
pieces.
So,
Yes.
which is a big jump from my point of view. So my thinking is I would feel good about a zone change to LDR2 for the entire piece, but I'm not real sure that we need to change the comprehensive plan to do that.
Wouldn't need to
We
go to
don't.
LDR2, I don't believe.
No.
Do not.
But yeah.
Mr. Mayor.
But yeah, go ahead.
So, Mr. Mayor, just to clarify from Councilman Erickson, I do believe that we're going to have to change the comprehensive plan once in a while, and we need to look at that. That's going to happen. But this parcel right now that we're talking about right now, in my opinion, does not meet the specifications we have in there to change the comprehensive plan. So, I mean, if we want to keep discussing it, or if you want a motion, I'll make a motion.
Councilmember Walker, do you want to weigh in? Council President?
I feel the same way Eric does. I don't know if we're ready to put LDR3 in there. Most of the rest of it's LDR2. I just think that's kind of out of place to put LDR3 right there. I think LDR2 would be more consistent with what we want to do there.
Okay.
I think we're ready for a motion.
Councilmember.
Just a quick
Councilmember
question.
Reeser.
Excuse me. One of the questions that came up in planning and zoning a lot last night was the road and those types of things. If I could just get a refresher on what kind of an agreement was made with the new school that's going there, what types of improvements to 12th West are going to be part of that development? And were there any proposals to any other types of improvements with this new development going to the east of it?
We have nothing with the one currently that is in front of you, simply because they've got to look at a zone change, get that completed before they can even hit that stage of spending money to start looking at what it's going to require.
Okay.
But as
so that-
far as Jim Prep, Keith would be better to answer what is planned, what we have looked at. At this point, they haven't even submitted plans, so we're still waiting to see what they come up with also to compare it. And I know Keith is working currently with the State Department on how they can fix 12th and Main. So there are things being done. There are things looked at of what we got to do to those roads, and the applicants all are aware what they're going to have to do to bring it up to the standard we need
Okay.
in
So-
those types of things.
Just to help me understand the process is, so whether we make changes or not, when we get down to exactly how many, to plat this, how many lots there's gonna be and what type of housing, all that, that's when those specific decisions are gonna be made on what changes are gonna be made to 12th West to kind of help with traffic flow or any other concerns that might be at least in that area. Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, because you're going to look at what is the total number of homes to generate that trip read. And it's the highest trip hours, I believe, trips out of there.
Peak trip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, is what we look at. Generally, if it's 100 or more, that drives the traffic impact study on that. Now, if it's less than 100, so that just comes in discretion, that we might still require a traffic impact study depending on what we're seeing out there. But generally speaking, if the peak hour is 100 trips or more, it would drive the traffic impact study.
Okay, thank you. And then just one more thing. Eric talked about if we left the zoning or the comprehensive plan the way it is, but change the zoning. Is that what you were referencing? But change the zoning to LDR 2 and 3?
No.
Just
two.
two.
Make it all
the whole
LDR.
thing at 2.
So right now it's 1 and 2.
How much would that limit the proposed development in the number of units? It would go from,
29 less units than what he's proposing.
so currently they're proposing 41, but if,
No,
From
no,
36.
if it went
You're
all
gonna lose
to
about
LDR
30
2,
units.
it would be about 30 units
About 30 units difference.
difference from what he's proposing now.
okay, so how many?
30 less.
How many would be the total? Let's say that all the changes are made and the proposal is accepted. How many units are they looking at putting in?
You're talking if it was all LDR too?
No, if it was actually the way they propose for it to be. I'm just trying to get those two numbers in my head.
Right.
What are they asking for? And if we stay, because I'm very intrigued with that proposal, if we keep everything in LDR 2, what's that number gonna be? If I can get those two numbers to work in my head, it'll go
That's
from,
how you go from 110 is what he would propose, LDR 2 and LDR 3.
You'd be 104 units
If
total.
it went just to LDR 2, it would be 30 less.
30
units.
less, so 80 approximately. So from 110 to 80. Okay,
Yeah.
thank
So
you.
one thing just quickly that I would like to address, I think that Councilmember Riggins mentioned, you were talking about how we're violating our own standards, but I mean, that's why we're doing the comprehensive plan change before we do a zone change, so that we're not violating our own standards, and that has to be done. So I mean, it's just a process really, and I guess my other thought is that I would just throw out there is, to be honest with you, I don't really understand why we're okay with having a bunch of duplexes put in an area, but not townhomes. To me, townhomes are nicer looking. They've got more owner occupied people in them because people will buy them instead of, people don't buy duplexes, they rent them. And so if if the quality of life thing, if you're talking about more permanent residents versus transient, to me, the LDR 3 fits because you're trying to get, maybe something that looks a little nicer out there by the freeway. I don't know. There's just a lot of things that I think we're kind of missing in this discussion that, I really don't get why we're okay with duplexes, but we're not okay with townhomes.
Mayor, I got one
Yeah.
point. And this has nothing to do with what's in front of you. It's strictly about the comprehensive plan.
Okay.
Comprehensive plans are designed for us as a city to sit down with the 17 different items we have to look at to decide what happens in a city, what we think's going to come down the road. It's a guiding document to help us plan for that future, knowing that we're going to miss the mark probably 9 out of 10 times. We're just trying to get that idea, but as circumstances come along, we have the responsibility to look at it. And I'm not promoting for or against what you're doing tonight. I'm just trying to explain the process. And so what you're looking at, are we seeing a change that is driving some of this stuff? And they actually, one of the requirements is yearly, we're to look at this and make adjustments as it comes along. If you see a change in what's going on, you need to make that update as it comes along. Every 5 years, we're to sit down and completely review that and then make those changes again, because city's going to change. And we have things happen that all of a sudden you put a new temple on this side and we see a shift in what's happening on the other end. Well, that changes our comprehensive plan. Well, that's starting to get busy. Now, all of a sudden, we're seeing a huge amount of interest on the south side that's going to change that end. The one that's coming up in January is a huge change, and it requires a comprehensive plan change. And we've changed it 5 times since the plan has been adopted.
Okay, go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to bring it back to what we're actually looking at here. It's a comprehensive plan map change to intermediate residential, which includes MDR1 and MDR2 also. And so we are supposed to be looking at the comprehensive plan change. We're not supposed to be looking at the zone change right now. And so you have to ask yourself, does MDR1 and MDR2 fit in this area? Because those could actually be used in this. And so to me, this is what it's about. This comprehensive plan change includes MDR1 and MDR2. So we can't base it on the developer using LDR3 only, because MDR1 and MDR2 are also allowed if we do this comprehensive plan change. And then the other thing is anecdotal, to go along with what you said, because I live by townhouses and I did my own research once, we're talking about our own research, with the records available to me, 10% of the townhouses in my neighborhood were owner occupied and the rest were all rentals. So townhouses are not always bought. I just wanted to point that out.
More than duplexes would be.
Okay, well, I'm just saying they are not all owner occupied.
Well, I
So,
agree. I agree.
yeah.
You know, that's
So
true.
just wanted to point that out.
But yeah, on your other point, oh, my mind just went blank. What was your first point that you said?
This is a comprehensive
Oh, yeah.
change that
Yeah.
includes MDR1 and MDR2.
That's true, but they do have to come before us to get that zone change. So,
They
you know, that's.
do, but every time we change it, the next developer that comes, it's a lot harder for us to say no, because they say this fits within your comprehensive plan. And so then it is harder for us.
And they made it very clear last night. Every one of them said something. We make this change, it's going to simplify for the next person and
It's
the
not.
next person, and we don't know what be happening, right? So.
Yeah, well, sometimes you have to decide whether to hold the line or not, right? Yeah. Councilmember Erickson.
Mr. Mayor, you know, in a perfect world, it would be nice for all of these landowners to get together and develop, have a planned unit development, just like Summerfield, that would probably allow for townhomes and other small homes, but it's just impossible to do with separate ownership of all these sorts of things. So we have to set a tone for the area with what we do here that others are going to follow. And I agree. I think if we go to the comprehensive zone change, it opens the door then to the next property next to it. Well, you did it for them. You got to do it for us. And they may have a totally different idea about how to develop that area than LDR3. You know, they may want to come in with a more dense. Anyway, all I'm saying is I think we've got to be careful about setting the tone for the more density than we feel comfortable with.
I agree. I mean, I think you're right. We do have to be very thoughtful about that. But I think the other thing we have to be thoughtful about is the mix of housing that we have in Rexburg. You know, we've got kind of a housing crisis as far as affordability. You know, a lot of our kids, I mean, you know, if you want your kids to be able to afford a place to live, we've got to have something that's more affordable. You know, they can't afford to buy a single family home, a lot of them right now, but maybe they could afford to get into a townhome, and then they can start their housing journey and move up from there to there to there. So yes, Councilmember Erickson.
Are you ready for that motion?
Is there any further discussion before we move forward with the motion? Is there any other discussion that anybody else have?
We're ready.
All right, then yeah, I guess I'm ready for a motion.
Mayor, I want to make a motion that we deny this comprehensive plan map change, resolution number 2025-14, because it's inconsistent with the plans and goals and objectives that we have in that area at this time.
So just to make sure we all know what we're doing, we deny it and we will have to send it back to planning and zoning for a rehearing.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure that we understand that. Okay, all right. There's a motion on the table to deny the comprehensive plan change as stated. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Johnson. Any further discussion or questions on this item? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. We will deny that and send that back to planning and zoning for a rehearing. So with that, I don't believe there's any reason to move forward with the next item, is there? Council?
We can't.
Yeah, we
It's not
can't really,
possible.
right?
Yeah, we can in a certain way. We're debating this here to make sure.
Yeah.
Because what you can look at doing, possibly Spence is gonna weigh in, is just change the LDR 1 to LDR 2. And then leave the LDR 2 alone that is currently there.
Is the developer,
He's already said
Okay
he
with
would
that?
accept that.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
But I'll let Spencer weigh in on the
Even if it's not on the
ramifications.
agenda, we can do it.
For planning and zoning, it wasn't. Hasn't been before planning.
What's we'll see what
So I'm trying to-
the legal opinion is here.
It wasn't on the agenda that way, so.
I think we're getting into, so
Do you think, would it need to be sent back to planning and zoning and have them recommend that particular
They
thing?
recommended taking the LDR 1 to 2
Yeah.
and the LDR 2 to 3. So you could deny the LDR 2 to 3 and accept the LDR 1 to 2. Because it was presented and they did it that way. They even talked
Oh.
about splitting them and doing them in
Yeah, I
separate.
see that.
Oh, okay,
So they're aware of that option.
Makes sense.
which,
And it was posted that way also.
we do have, Spencer, do you want us to give you a minute and we could, move?
I think it's a bifurcated issue where we get into what could happen, but then what was actually recommended by planning and zoning. And then is this a substantial change that then would trigger it being remanded to them specifically before you could make what would likely be viewed as a substantial change? And so it was contemplated that way, but it was passed as a comprehensive zone change. And then the zone change was also approved. So it was, as noted in the minutes, there was I believe one was 5-2, and then the last one, the zone was changed 4-3. And so even if permitted, does that act as a substantial change? I just need to look at, that wouldn't be governed through state statute, that would go through our local ordinance. And so would that trigger a review that would have to be sent back down to city council or excuse me, to planning and zoning before it came back up. So if I could have a moment on that, just to look at that and then to see how it was posted.
Do you want to take a moment?
Yeah, if that's okay. And that deals with procedural due process claims and then also just notice. And so that's the two hangups for me that I need to look at and see if we can navigate it. And rather than just sit here and make something up, give me 5 minutes and I'll look at it.
All right, we can put that on hold for right now and we can move forward with item number D. And then even our calendared bills if we need to, the rest of it and move on. So Alan, go ahead and let's move to item number D, which is a planning and zoning recommendation to approve the Juniper Commons plat located at approximately 810 Pioneer Road to subdivide the property into 55 lots.
We had to pull up the correct plat here. And then you have the parcel viewer. Okay. I'll go over the roundabout.
Is this just off the roundabout?
Yeah, just south of Spotify there, yeah.
Just go straight east.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, Mayor, thank you, council members. The property we're discussing is the one located right here by the roundabout on 7th South and Yellowstone, right near Bodify is the location of this. This is the plat that's being presented, and it's a modification of, we're platting over part of the old plat. Used to be Juniper Sands. That one's remaining with the parcel that's already built out, plus the one to the east of the road there. All the new ones you're seeing down here, there'll be fourplexes. That is what this plat entails. They have provided all information. We have reviewed infrastructure, CCNRs. We reviewed all of the building plans and the plat, and staff recommended to P&Z to approve, and they have recommended it to you for approval.
All right, is there any questions or comments on this item?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
is this a plat approval?
Yes.
Yes,
it
it
is.
is.
Okay, so just a question, it looks to me like, I mean, that's a lot of units. We got sufficient parking?
Yes.
Yeah, they all have their own.
2 per unit.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, if there are no other questions or comments, I would entertain a, what do we call it? A motion, a motion to move ahead with this particular item.
I will make a motion that we approve the Juniper Commons plat located at 810 Pioneer Road.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Council President Walker. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that was easy. All right, item number 10 is we have no second readings on the agenda. We don't have any third readings either, so that would take us to the consent calendar, which is the the items that are routine, and including the minutes from the December 3rd, 2025 meeting, and the approving of the payment of the City of Rexburg bills. Is there any questions about these items, any corrections for the minutes, or any questions on any of the bill payments? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
This is my last thing as a city councilman. I'll make a
Oh.
motion. That's consent calendar. Approve this consent calendar.
Way to be decisive there,
Right.
President.
Bring up the tears.
All right. All right, thank you. Is there any questions or comments on the council president's motion? Wait, did I ask for a second?
No.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by council member Eric Erickson. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will go ahead and enter the minutes and pay the bills. All right, well, we can't really go into executive session until we, there we go.
Appreciate that time for a second. I wanted to pull the exact code. And again, it is consistent with what I initially thought. And again, it's a notice and a public hearing requirement. So within our Rexburg City Code, section 1.03.100, I'm going to read specifically from that provision. B, if the city council rejects the comprehensive plan or zone change recommendation that originated with a planning and zoning public hearing, another public hearing must be held. It states at a city council level, there's a provision in C that says the Planning and Zoning Commission may request an additional city council hearing when needed. There's discretion within that code to hold that public hearing. We've typically in the past, we've done it at the city council level, or you can do it at the planning and zoning level, which we've typically done where we revert it back. That acts as the public hearing. And that's what I would recommend here. Again, that is less, and that is more with a substantive change from those were both approved, they've been denied. And so now it should go back to a subsequent public hearing. Again, and that goes to a due process rights for both the applicant and members of the community to voice opposition. And I think logically that makes sense, because if we're deviating from something that was specifically recommended. And now we just say at the last minute, hey, now let's just do this one. I think there should be a public hearing to have input on that from both parties. And so that's what I would recommend legally doing at this point in the river.
Right, that's what, yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember.
just the
But
clarification
we
there,
got a- we got a
Spencer.
question here for you.
Just clarification, you said that if a comprehensive plan change is denied, then it goes back to another public hearing on the same proposal?
No, they can look at, they can, go ahead.
So at that point, because you would be fulfilling notice requirements, you can tweak that application and then post and make notice and then make a proposal based on that, including a possible step down that would then be specifically contemplated within that.
Well, we're talking about two separate issues here, comprehensive plan and zone change.
Well, again, you didn't take it up, but it was made moot because you guys denied the comprehensive plan.
Right.
And so, and therefore, again, I mean, I guess maybe a proper procedure would be to deny that because it's not in accordance with the comprehensive plan, but then both would be sent back to planning and zoning. Or if you wanted to hold it, again, I think there's discretion within, our typical standard is to send it back to planning and zoning, the commission. I think the statute would allow you to hold that public hearing if you deemed fit. But again, our typical practice is to send it back to planning and zoning commission.
The question is, what are we sending back to planning and zoning?
Both proposals. So it's
Both proposals?
But at that point, the applicant has the opportunity to change his proposal and make a new proposal
Right.
at that public hearing.
You can make it so and
They're not gonna-
that's just.
you're not gonna hold a new-
to.
Well, okay.
If they-
Maybe you will.
If there was significant, if it's a step down, but if it's a significant, or if it's, I mean, again, if we send it back and it's substantively essentially the same with a step down, but if he decides he wants to set up a hot dog stand and now just, I mean, that's a completely different application.
Yeah.
And we don't mess around with hot dog stands in this city, so we're stern.
Dang right. Okay. All right.
Please.
So,
Yes.
you know the saying, if you always do what you always got, most get what you've always got, right? So if you always do the same thing. So my question is this. If we're gonna bring it back and the developer's gonna bring it back, does he have the ability, the right, the legal to communicate with those that are very, very concerned about? So we're talking about people, we're talking about.
Correct. So he isn't subject to, so there's an ex parte communication restriction. Again, and if Councilman Johnson, if you don't mind me sharing this, I take ex parte communication seriously. And so because the short notice and a lack of knowing if she was going to be able to read the minutes in time, Council member, I'm sorry. It's been a long couple. I was here late last night. We're going to go late tonight. Council member Johnson, she attended in person, and there was a couple people that asked a couple clarifying questions. I kind of grilled her this morning on it, and I wanted to know, did you specifically talk about the project? Do we need to disclose these things? Again, so if I see any of you, that's why I asked about the email earlier. Any of those things, the record needs to be completely clear. Those same things don't pertain to the applicant. And so afterwards, I watched him. He had good rapport with members of the community. He spoke with them in the foyer and was having those discussions. He's not subject to those same ex parte communications. And again, I commend him for working with them when, sometimes it's not the easiest thing to do. And so for both sides. And I think, again, and if you read the minutes, I thought both parties on a contentious issue, I thought both sides remained very civil, and it was a long but productive meeting.
Okay.
So productive, it
Does
sounds like
that
we're gonna
answer
do it again,
your
so.
question? Okay, all right, good. All right. So, let's see, where are we? We're at,
Executive session.
oh, yeah, probably just for the record, let's go ahead with item C and entertain a motion to go ahead on a motion one way or the other on the zone change. That way we'll have it on record and we don't have to decide whether it's legal or not. So I would entertain a motion to move forward on ordinance 1341. Is there such a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we deny the recommendation to approve a zone change due to the fact that we denied the comprehensive plan change, which would allow the zone change.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I second.
Second by Councilmember Reeser. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion is denied. We will go ahead and revert that back to the planning and zoning for a rehearing. Okay, thank you very much. We are done with all the items on the agenda except for an executive session as per Idaho State Statute 74-2061F to communicate with legal counsel for the public agency to discuss the legal ramifications of and legal options for pending litigation or controversies not yet being litigated but imminently likely to be litigated. So I would entertain a motion to move into executive session at this time. Is there such a motion? All right, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Colin Erickson. We need a roll call vote to move into executive session. Mariana, would you do that for us, please?
Yes.
Councilmember Colin Erickson.
Yes.
Councilmember Eric Erickson.
Yes.
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 All right, it is unanimous. We will move into executive session. And at this time, we need to ask everyone to vacate the premises. We will move into executive session. We will come back into meeting after executive session to adjourn. You're welcome to stay for that exciting event if you'd like to. It's typically not that exciting. Thank you for being here. Appreciate your attendance here. Officers, thank you for being here. Appreciate your watchful eye over us tonight. It's always comforting to have you here. Thank you. Yeah, might as well. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.